everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and I'm back with a track guide for the Daily Race C at the new track Saint-Croix. This track has only just been added to GT Sport and it's on for a whole week with the new system that they're, I hope, trialling for the daily races, because I'm not a massive fan of this keeping one track for a week. It will work if they add more tracks into the variety. I think if there was 5 to 6 races to choose from, with one of them races possibly being, I think Super GT mentioned it, at least double the length of the current daily race C, so at least maybe 30-40 minutes long, something like that, an endurance based race, it could work then, you know, something to keep people playing a little bit longer. But with just 3 tracks to choose from and them on all week, it could be really boring, especially if one of the races ends up being an oval track. That could be a bit disappointing. But so far I'm really happy with the tyre model improvements. I really do like the new tyre model change. I can feel the accelerator where I can put it on a lot easier. This car is probably the most overpowered car for this track here. To give yourself the best chance of this track, you really do need to be using the Ford. It's so overpowered in terms of its acceleration and top speed. It's not the best handling car out of all the Group 3 cars, so you will find that other tracks this car will not be used. I did think it was going to be massively overpowered at a lot of tracks, but it's not. It's going to be tracks like Bathurst, Monza, Le Mans, obviously this track with a lot of power zones where this car is really going to take over. And the reason it does so well at this track is because although there are corners, there are a lot of power zones where the fast corners are still power based, so that's why this car's massively overpowered at this track, and you pretty much will not get within, I'll say, a second of it with any other car, because the difference in acceleration, if anyone has seen the tweet I put out on Twitter showing the difference between the AMG GT3, which I use, compared to this, just going over the start line from the speeds that you carry, you will see what I'm talking about. The Ford probably carries an extra 6, 7, 8 miles per hour over the start finishing line. It's insane. It's just so fast with its power, and it is an okay car to drive. I feel there are places where this is going to lose out, like if you're going to go to anything twisty with a lot of tight corners, this car might not really be the best car for that type of track. But I'm going to go through a track guide. The lap that I'm showing you now was a 3:26.0. Now, it wasn't perfect. I think I've got at least maybe 1.5 seconds to knock off this by. I'll point out when the errors that I make, I'm going to show you them as I go through the lap. But I've just obviously learned the track on the day that I did for this, adding this content to the channel for, to help people out. You can see a massive moment on the rear there as we come through one of the final corners. I really like this track. I'll have to say this, it's such a nice track. I'm really looking forward to the shorter base versions of this track. Them for me were even better, but I really like this track. It's probably my favourite fictional track that's on the GT Sport. So we're going to start the lap and we're going to go through a very quick track guide. I'm going to try and help you out. So going into turn 1, this is a flat out corner. Now what you'll see I do is I upshift into 6th gear, and you want to really hit the left hand tyre on that curb there, as close to that wall as possible, to that railing. Now the 150 is going to be your brake reference. You can brake a little bit past that, but I like to brake pretty much dead on the 150 board, and then downshift into 2nd gear. You want to really be aggressive on them downshifts and try and take a later entry into this corner and skim that barrier on the right hand side. You really need to skim it. Watch how close I try and get with the front right tyres, as close as I dare. And again, on the power, a little bit of oversteer on the exit there. Maybe lost a fraction of time, maybe a tenth or so. We'll have a little look as we go through the split. I know my best normal splits are 0.1, a late 0.1. We'll have a little look at 2.8. So we lost about a tenth just by a little mistake. Going into the next one, you're going to again brake pretty much on the 150. And I do like to brake pretty much earlier now with this new time model. I feel like braking earlier really does help in terms of your entry and your exit speeds, even more so than it used to. So braking on the 150, and this enables you then to hold a really tight line into the apex of this corner. You see there, clipping apex pretty much perfectly, and then getting on the power. And one thing I will say with this time model is I find it a little bit easier in terms of throttle inputs. It seems a little bit smoother now. Now this is a tricky corner. You're going to pretty much throw this car in and brake very slowly as you see that apex, that curve appear. And you really want to skim it. See, I'm maybe a foot off of hitting the apex perfectly, but I've done it reasonably well. So maybe losing just a fraction, maybe a tenth or so there. But now maximum power all the way through this corner, and this is a really tricky corner. You pretty much want to lift off the throttle around this point now, and this will help the car just drift into this corner. You see there, downshifting. You want to get the car as far over to that left hand side as possible, and pretty much starting to brake and put the trail brake in now in third gear, and then going from this wide line really helps you hit that apex nicely, and then enables you to get on the power smoothly and a lot better. You'll get much better exit speed by taking a wide entry into that corner. Then we're going to be looking at our next braking point, and again it's an unsighted corner. As you approach the 100 board, I like to brake it pretty much now, a little bit before the 100 board, and because this corner's unsighted, you'll see you can't see the apex until there, it just about appears, and braking that little bit earlier helps you hit that corner because it's off cambered and it will drag you over to the right, and it will just lose you about another 2 tenths or so. I did that corner really nicely. And again, no real braking reference for this corner. I just like to brake pretty much around this point and nice and early, down into third gear. And again, you want to clip the apex nicely and just get on the power as early as you can. Like I'm putting 50% throttle in and then full throttle once I feel the grips there. And now for this right hand corner, you want to stay as close to the railing on the right hand side as possible. And then once the car's pretty much in a straight line around about now, you're going to downshift it into third gear and try and get the car lined up for this apex perfect. You can see it's a tricky corner. This again, it's quite unsighted again. Staying in third gear, clipping the apex nicely and getting on the power reasonably well. I managed to keep okay speed through that corner. And now for these corners, again, quite tricky this next section of track. You want to get the car over to the left hand side, and that's so you widen the line into these corners. I didn't quite get the entry into this one perfect. You can see I missed the apex slightly there, but still carried okay speed. And then you want to start downshifting and trail braking all the way into this right hand corner. You want to be taking this right hand corner in second gear, but getting the car over to the left hand side as much as possible. You see how I swung that in and then down into second gear and clipping the apex really nicely. I did hook that corner up reasonably well into third gear and maximum power, and just be careful not to take too much speed through that corner because that railing on the left hand side, you will collide with that and you'll wipe your lap out basically. So the next corner, another very tricky off cambered corner. You're going to see the camber. Have a look at the camber when we freeze it in a minute. You're going to brake just in between the 100 and the 150 board and down into second gear. Just look at the camber on this corner now. It really slopes off to that right hand side, so you need to try and hit this apex nicely. I actually missed this apex, and watch what it does to the car. Look how wide it goes, and watch the rear of my car in that top right hand corner. Because I've missed the corner, the car's unsettled and I came so close to hitting that barrier and probably lost a good 2-3 tenths a second just on that one corner, because if you hit that apex nicely, you take so much more speed through the corner. Now for this right hand corner, another quite tricky corner. You want to go down and shifting and trail braking in third gear and hold as tight a line as possible until you feel the grips there. Once you feel the grips there, full throttle, maximum power, and use all the width of the track. You can see there coming quite close to the barrier on the left hand side, but not really pushing too hard to it. I don't want to risk hitting it. Now it's a case of just using the Ford's power. This is another section of track where the Ford is just going to wipe out any other car, even the Corvette, the Mustang. It will just totally destroy them cars in this type of zone. This is just pure acceleration and why this car is so fast at this track. So next point of reference which you need to be looking for is a 150 board. We're going to show you that very shortly as we approach the 200 board there. The 150 board is the braking reference that I use. And again, you have to be so careful not to brake too late for this corner because you're carrying so much speed. So make sure you're braking earlier rather than later and try and hold the tight line. I actually took too tight a line there, I think. I could have widened the entry point and got a better exit. Probably lost another tenth or so on that corner, but nothing drastic. It's all about little losses at the moment because I don't fully know the track 100%. But now holding as close to the left hand side as possible because you're going into this really fast corner. And again, I missed the apex very slightly on this attempt. You can see just lifting off the throttle. You don't really need to put too much braking pressure in or anything like that. It's just a lift off the throttle and try and get your right hand tight on that green bit of Astro. I missed it by a few feet, and then that kind of affects your exit speed here, possibly losing another tenth there, but nothing again massive. Now for the next braking zone, the only real reference you're going to have here is that ambulance on the right hand side, and you need to brake about where I am now, a little bit before that, so just use that as some kind of reference to where you need to lift off and brake. Holding this very tight apex in third gear and then early upshift into fourth gear, pretty much full power now through the corner. And just be careful on this exit here, you don't run too far wide. You're going to see you might need to just give it a little lift off. I managed to hold reasonably maximum power all the way through the corner. Now the next braking reference is in between the 150 and the 100, maybe a bit closer to the 150, and you're going to go downshifting into third gear. And again, you need to hit this apex because if you don't, you're going to run wide. You're going to see even with hitting this apex, I had a little moment on the rear where I got the power a little bit too aggressively, so clipping the apex nicely there, pretty much perfectly, but the rear starts to go. Managed to hold it, just about hold it on the track, maybe lost another tenth or so there by that little bit of poor throttle control. And now for the final corner, it's pretty much get the car over to the right hand side as much as possible, lift off the throttle and attack this corner. You really need to get on the power. You see now attacking the corner on the power maximum, and I kind of did that. I did that really nice there. Got the power nicely into 4th gear, didn't run wide, and carried really good speed all the way down to the finishing line. And I go over the finish line on a 3 minutes 26.0. Now, like I say, take out the errors. A few more hours of practice, and I think I'd be very close to a 3 minutes 24, at least a 3 minutes 24.9 or 8 or something like that. But as a reference, I think this will help some drivers out. Obviously there's going to be people out there that are probably going to be beating this lap, because I've not put 100% into this. I've already started on my Brands Hatch practice for the Nations. I don't really want to be racing this too much yet. It's when this comes up for the FIA race, then I will put more practice into this track. But hope you enjoyed this guide. I'm going to let the video play now with the chase camera for anyone that uses that view, just to help you out a little bit more, so you can watch the lap and how it looked from this view. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. I'm going to be trying to get at least one of these videos out a week now, with them being on for a whole week. I think there's more benefit to these videos than there used to be. Obviously with them being on a day in the past, it was quite, you know, not everyone was doing the race, but now pretty much everyone who races the whole week are going to be racing this track. The majority are. So I think, you know, these are going to be a little bit more beneficial to people, and hopefully more people will watch these now. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll be back very soon.